I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to the Operation Freedom Health and Wellness platform. It is my honor to have with us our very dear friend, Dr. Peter Glidden, one of the top naturopathic physicians, not just in our country, but the world, an outstanding researcher, a phenomenal author. His two books, Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, and Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine, should be the foundation of your medical library. Those books are the foundation of the Janda family medical library. And the reason is because in plain English, Peter breaks down the issues of health and wellness. And, we're all taught, everybody's we're all going to die, obviously. Nobody gets out of this thing alive. But we're all taught that, you just have to wait for bad things to hit you. And then you have to take the appropriate pharmaceutical product and go to the appropriate doctor to treat that with the appropriate pharmaceutical product. And wow, you'll be as old as Henry Kissinger, the globalist, and before you even start to think about your expiration date. And nothing could be further from the truth. And Peter has really pushed this, not just in his books, but in every one of our presentations for the past 3 years. Your body is a well-oiled machine focused on health and wellness, and you just have to harness it. And the best way to harness it is with nutritional support. Fact. Our website is operationfreedomhealth.com. Tremendous amount of information. Peter did a free video that's on that right at the top of the homepage, the 12 bad foods to avoid. That one step alone will enhance the health and wellness of you and anyone and everyone you tell about that video in a moment's notice. It's my honor to welcome back to our platform Dr. Peter Glidden. Peter, welcome back to the Operation Freedom Show and Health and Wellness platform.
Dave, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for everything that you do. Let's keep this baby moving.
Well, and Pete, one of the ways we move this platform down the road is we take input from our viewers. Okay. Now, the title of today's presentation is going to be the nutritional key to keep your heart beating. Not just Beating, but beating, Beeting. And the reason we're bringing this forward, and Peter and I have to be very careful in how we say this. There has been documented in the insurance presentation literature a close to 40% increase in all-cause mortality this past year. And it's based on apparently adverse situations related. And in particular, there has been an increased problem with cardiac issues. So, Pete, let's talk about, because we have been inundated with people asking us, okay, what can we do? Because I have relatives, I have friends, I have neighbors who never had heart-related issues. Now they do. What can all of us do to focus on our heart to enhance its beating, Beating, capabilities?
Well, if you're going to shovel snow in 0-degree weather, you're not going to do that in your bathing suit because the stress of the cold will hurt you, could kill you. However, if you bundle up, you can sleep on the ice if you want to. So when the human body is exposed to, either by choice or by design or by happenstance, a stress, and there's millions of types of stress, and this particular one seems to be everywhere all the time now. When you are exposed to stress, it would be prudent for you to take the appropriate steps to strengthen the part of your body that is being stressed out. So the foundation of everything, what we have to do first, which is why it's called the foundation pack, right? We got to do the foundation pack because the foundation pack provides your body with 100% of the essential nutrients that it needs just to function.
Mm-hmm.
Your body needs 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow we'll discover one more. Right now, it's right around 90 essential nutrients. But those nutrients are not all present in the food, and their presence in the food is getting less and less and less and less over time. So supplementation with essential nutrients is not optional, it's mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot get this stuff from food, even if you own 100 acres of the most organic farmland in the world and only eat the stuff you grow, you're still going to be deficient because, let me say it, this from the Department of Redundancy Department one last time, you cannot satisfy your body's essential nutrient needs just from eating food. You must supplement. And in 34 years now of clinical work as a licensed naturopathic physician, my profession, by the way, wrote the book literally on medical nutrition, clinical medical nutrition. The company that makes the products that are found in the foundation packets, these are the most effective nutrients I've ever seen, and I've seen everything. Well, not everything, but I mean, it's what my profession does. I've seen more vitamin companies than most people even know exist. And these are the ones that I recommend because they're the most effective ones that I've seen in 34 years. So, and you know, there is not all nutritional supplements are created equally. Not all wine is the same. Not all beer is the same. Not all chicken soup is the same, right? There's differences.
True.
And it's the same with nutrients. So we like the company that makes the foundation pack nutrients because they're just everything about them is so very good. And more importantly than that, clinically effective. So that's number one. You have to fill your body's nutritional tank up with this stuff on a regular basis. Number two, you have to stop eating food that's coming up the works. Those foods are outlined in the free document, the 12 bad foods, which you can find at operationfreedomhealth.com. Number three, when a certain part of your body is under stress, there are certain things that you can do specifically for that. So bone and joint stress would be different than lung stress, would be different than adrenal stress, would be different than immune stress, would be different from heart stress. So when we're talking about heart stress, which we are in this case, there are three things that stand out as add-ons to the foundation pack to upregulate cardiac function and increase the heart's ability to protect itself from that particular stress. So the first nutrient to consider, I'll talk about these in ascending order.
Okay.
So selenium is a very important nutrient. In pre-World War II Germany, you know, when the Germans were all about the master race, you know, the Aryan race, superior to everybody, they did a lot of experiments with athletes. They were way ahead of their time with athletic performance and athletic training and that whole thing. They were way ahead of anybody else in the world at that time. And one of the things that they discovered was that their athletes would develop enlarged hearts. It was called cardiomyopathy, is the fancy schmancy doctor term for that. And the Germans discovered that the exercise was stressing the heart so much, and it wasn't the exercise that made the heart enlarge, it was the lack of an essential mineral, selenium. So when you exercise a lot, the heart gets stressed, and if the heart doesn't have enough selenium, it enlarges. But when you give the body sufficient amounts of selenium, the heart goes back to normal size and responds much better to the stress of exercise. So that's the first thing to do, take selenium. Our favorite is Ultimate Selenium because it's not just selenium, it's got copper and it's got some other things in it in a balanced formula. Recommendation would be 1 bottle a month, 1 capsule of selenium 3 times a day between meals. Kind of important that you take that between meals as it's easier for your body to absorb it. Number 2 would be the Good Herbs Heart Support. The Good Herbs Heart Support is a botanical medicine formula which is based upon, let me say this slowly, thousands of years of work by people dealing with botanical medicines. I mean, this is not just a bunch of, 21st century scientists reading some books and trying to figure out which plants to use. This is not that. This is very sophisticated look at the usefulness of botanical medicines over time in the communities around the world of people who are actually doing that, which is different than theoretical speculation and book knowledge. And this is like actual hands-on what works. So the Good Herbs formula, it's a combination of 4 or 5 different botanical medicines, each of which have different aspects of the heart that they support, and also the circulatory system. The recommendation for general support in this regard would be 1 bottle a month, 2 milliliters twice a day, 2 milliliters twice a day. There's a milliliter dropper inside the bottle. You fill it up to the milliliter mark, squirt it in your mouth, do it again, and then you do that again later in the day. 2 milliliters twice a day is a really, really good thing to do. Now, the jewel in the crown of cardiac support is a product called Cardio Beats. And Cardio Beats is a powdered formula made, the primary ingredient is organic beets that have been dried and crushed and powdered. There's also some other things in there. And the beet thing is a really, really, really interesting thing to talk about. One of the main drivers that makes the cardio beets effective for the cardiovascular system is the presence of a couple of amino acids. One is called L-arginine, and the other is called L-citrulline, L-arginine and L-citrulline. And these are naturally occurring amino acids which are concentrated in the cardio beets. And one of the things that they do is they promote the body's production of a chemical called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide. Now, what's the big deal about that? Well, that's a kind of a big deal because nitric oxide does a number of things. One of the things that nitric oxide does when it's present in the body is it causes the blood vessels to dilate. So that's a good thing because when the blood vessels dilate, there's more blood flow. When there's more blood flow, there's more vital resources going to the organ. And one of the first things we're taught as naturopathic doctors is you have to do your very best to increase the blood flow to the particular part of the body that you're trying to fix. And there's a really old-fashioned, really simple, really effective naturopathic treatment called hydrotherapy. It's the external application of alternating pads of water that are hot and then cold and hot and then cold. And one of the benefits of this physical medicine treatment is that it increases circulation to whatever part of the body you're doing it to. So increasing circulation is a really, really big deal. And the presence of nitric oxide enhances that. And also, there's a component of your blood that's called a platelet. And the platelet is what makes the blood clot. And one of the things that we're seeing from this is people are getting strokes from blood clots.
And clots going to their lungs, their heart and lungs as well.
Not good. Well, this begs the question, well, what made the blood clot in the first place?
Right.
Lack of nutrients.
Right.
The first thing to consider in this regard, in order to keep the blood healthy, to keep the viscosity of the blood healthy, so it's not too thin, it's not too thick, it's in the Goldilocks zone, is essential fatty acids, which are handled in the foundation pack, and then the cardio beets, because the cardio beets makes the part of your blood, the platelets, less sticky. There's a technical term for you. So it's harder for the blood to clot inappropriately. Inappropriately being the operative word here. The blood will still be able to clot when you need it to, but it won't clot when it doesn't need to in the presence of the stuff that's in the cardio beets. And since that is a big deal now, it's happening a lot, right? Blood clots in the lungs, blood clots in the brain, blood clots everywhere, for goodness sakes. it would be prudent for people to, guard against that. And the stuff in the Cardio Beats does that really well. So that's a nice little trifecta of supplements you can add to the foundation pack in order to upregulate your heart function. And one of the things that you're going to experience also, before this latest wave of all of these problems with heart conditions happened, the people who saw the benefits from the Cardio Beats the most were athletes. And that's not rocket science, because if you take a nutritional supplement that dilates your blood vessels and then you exercise, you're going to have more oxygen delivery to the tissues. Everything's going to be better. And that's why Olympic athletes, I don't know if they still allow this, but in the past they used to do something called doping. So Olympic athletes, they would work out in Denver or in the Swiss Alps in elevations where it's really high. They'd live there for like 6 months. And when they did that, their bodies, because the oxygen level was lower than at sea level, their bodies would produce more red blood cells in order to carry the limited oxygen. So their body would be loaded with red blood cells. Then they'd take the blood out of their bodies, they'd freeze it, and then right before they went to compete in the Olympic events, they'd put their own blood back in the body. But their own blood was loaded with red blood cells now, which made it much easier for their body to carry more oxygen. Well, Cardio Beats does the same thing, but not through that method. It just dilates the blood, dilates the vessels, increasing circulation, increasing the carrying of oxygen everywhere. So it's very effective. It's a very effective supplement, and I like recommending it because it's one of the few supplements that people feel the effects of really quickly.
Very true.
Right, it's really quickly.
Yeah,
a lot of times with the, well, not a lot of times, but I'm making this number up. Maybe 25% of the time when somebody starts the foundation pack, they'll have a remarkable response. It's like, oh my God. It's a come to Jesus moment. It's like someone flipped a switch and everything's better, and it's remarkable. But most of the time, people who do the foundation pack, it's a slow and steady improvement. It's like you don't feel your hair growing, but it grows. And then 6 months later, you go for your next doctor's visit, and your blood pressure's normal, and your liver values are normal, and your kidney values are better, and everything. And it's like, oh my God, I have no idea. But that's not the way that it is with Cardio Beats. Yeah. When you take the Cardio Beats, you're going to feel it. And people like that. It's an affirmation that this stuff really is effective, and it's not just all a sales pitch. So I'm happy to talk about the Cardio Beats today because it really is it's a very important supplement, especially now.
Well, it's interesting, Pete. I've been using Cardio Beats for years, and I was taught about the beneficial effects of Cardio Beats and beats themselves by a patient of mine, because I was in sports medicine, an endurance athlete.
Well, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
And he had come in, and his fingers were kind of red. He said, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Oh, that's just powder from the beet supplements I take." And I go, "What?" This is like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I go, "What?" He goes, "Oh, Doc, let me tell you about this." Yeah. He goes, "My performance level has gone up enormously since I started taking these supplements that are beet based." Yeah. And I was like, "Really?" Oh. He goes, "Oh, Doc, it'll help. You name it. Blood pressure. You'll find when you're outside working, you can work a lot longer and be less fatigued when it's all over." And I'm like, "Really?" So I figured, what the heck? I mean, this is a reasonable guy. I mean, this is a high performance athlete. I mean, big time. So I'm like, okay. So I started on it. And Pete, I'd be outside working, right? And again, 15, 20 years ago. And my wife would know. I would come in. She'd go, were you working that whole time outside? I go, yeah, why? She goes, you've been out there for like half a day. She goes, you weren't out there talking with somebody or, horsing around with the neighbors or, no. She goes, she goes, what's the change here? She goes, you don't even seem winded. Yeah. Well, I started it a while ago. I've been taking these. An athlete told me about the, but I mean, it was not just evident to me, because you're right. I felt better. I felt I had more energy. I felt I was more alert very soon after starting to take that.
Well, God made beets and man made pharmaceuticals. Who do you trust?
Yeah, right. You can't beat the beets. Right? And Pete, you get back to some of the information. I recently had a guest on this platform, a phenomenal attorney, actually, Tom Renz, who's done a tremendous amount of work on this and the ramifications of this. And he actually had some whistleblowers within the Department of Defense, and they went through the Defense Medical Epidemiology database. And they actually found that cardiac issues in the past year, heart attacks in particular, in the Defense Department population, not just the retirees, we're talking from recruits all the way through, we're up 269%.
Wow.
Right? So you talk about a stress to the system.
Yeah.
This is a stress that we're starting, and we have to be careful, but we're starting to see more and more people finally talking about what you and I have talked about in other videos about this stress. And so I appreciate, Pete, you talking about this, because we have been inundated with requests from people about how to maximize their heart or cardiac function.
So this is an important thing to like take a breath and take a step back and take an overview of. People in the military are under a lot of psychological stress, and they're under a lot of physical stress, by and large. And none of those people nutrify their bodies with anything.
No.
And the more that, and I always say this, and people look at me cockeyed until I have to explain it to them, but exercise without nutrition is suicide.
Right. No good.
Something's going to break.
Right.
So their bodies were already in a weakened state, even though they might have been able to run 5 miles with 20 pounds on their back, but they're not healthy.
No, that's right.
There's a difference between being physically fit
and healthy.
And being healthy.
That's right.
There's a big difference.
Big.
And nobody talks about this distinction. So, when I'm appointed Surgeon General, right, everybody in the military, it'll be mandatory that they take the 90 essential nutrients or a facsimile thereof.
Right.
Especially people working in areas of the world that are super hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the opinion that that's one of the reasons the Gulf War syndrome started, was because these people were working in 130-degree heat with, head to toe clothes on, a 50-pound pack on the back. They're sweating bullets, and all this that you don't just sweat out salt and potassium.
Right. It's
all
stress.
The nutrients are coming out, and their tanks are empty, baby.
Yep. It was undermining their entire nutritional foundation.
And nobody knew about it.
No,
because it's just not on the radar of the doctors that work for the conventional medical doctors that work for the military.
And then you throw the extrinsic stressors in the situation, in the system, and boom, done. Problem. Sick.
Yeah. And it's a problem. And this is the dirty little secret that members of the military don't want you to know.
Right.
Is how many painkillers these guys take every day.
Yeah.
Just to make it through the day.
Right.
It's remarkable.
It is.
And there would be absolutely no need for it if they were nutrified.
Correct. Pete, educate our listeners on how they can follow your efforts. Obviously, full disclosure, the products that we talked about in this video, as in all our videos, are available at operationfreedomhealth.com and other information on all these products. Full disclosure, we do, from the purchase of products on that platform, it does support this platform so we can keep doing what we do. Now, in addition to operationfreedomhealth.com, educate our listeners about drglidden.com.
So my website, there's the saying, and it's a worn out saying, but it's an appropriate saying in this venue. You can give a man a fish, or you can teach a man to fish, which is better. It's better to teach him to fish.
True.
So, we haven't had a free medical market in this country for 110 years. And because of that, nobody has been taught hardly anything about what to do to make their body healthy. Everybody's in the dark about it. My profession knows everything about that. But there just aren't that many naturopathic doctors to go around. I think right now there are 250 licensed naturopathic doctors that I would be comfortable referring a friend or a family member to. It's just not enough. Mm-hmm. So over the last number of years, I've put a lot of time and energy into building an educational platform on my website, drglidden.com, that walks people through how to make yourself healthy. I talk about 88 different ailments now. We add new ones on a regular basis. I have a medical myth-busting area where I talk about things like, did you know that cholesterol is actually good for you? Did you know that salt is actually good for you?
Butter.
We talk about all of these things that, quite frankly, people should have been taught in high school, but they weren't. And this isn't rocket science.
You're not even taught this in med school.
So... And there's another misconception that, it's medicine and it's, I'm going to have to go get a degree to understand it. Well, that's not true. And that's one of my strengths, is I'm able to explain what seem to be complicated things and make people understand it, because in point of fact, they're not really that complicated. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You just haven't had anybody line it up for you. So that's all of this information is available at drglidden.com via a subscription. And right now, we're probably going to maintain this through the end of the year. Right now, I give people 24 hours of free access. 24 hours of free access to everything on my website. No subscription, no credit card necessary. Just go to the front page of the website, click on the free access button. You can kick the tires and slam the doors for 24 hours. And then if you feel inclined to do so, if the information is compelling, which it is for most people, purchase a subscription and join the club. And there's thousands of people all around the world who think like we do. Mm-hmm. But they're not in your community. Well, they're in my community at drglidden.com. And that's another benefit of having a subscription, is you'll be around people twice a week. I have a live chat feature where we talk about just about anything on the live chat. I answer people's health questions. Mm-hmm. And it's really great. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's educational. And it's also inspiring, because you're not alone. Quite frankly, I'm of the opinion that people who think like us are in the majority.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But we're deplatformed.
Right. That's right. We're censored, deplatformed, put on the bottom of the notification pile. Right.
Yeah. So drglidden.com, check it out. 24 hours of free access. I think you're going to really like the information, and I hope that you become a subscriber.
Pete, thank you so very much for all that you have done, are doing, and will do. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Again, available 24/7 at operationfreedomhealth.com. I thank you for joining us today. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.